Greetings everybody, my name is Tommy and welcome to my channel. Welcome back to Monopoly Week, and let's take a look at the Super Nintendo version of the classic board game, and it's actually a bit of a step backwards compared to the NES version. Yeah, the graphics are prettier, but the animation and movement time take forever, and navigating the menus isn't that much easier. Let's just take a quick look at the Monopoly version that's on the Super Nintendo. Now, like before, we've already done a video with what the game is about and how it's played. These reviews will be more on the presentation and look of each game, and the presentation of the Super Nintendo isn't that much better than the NES. Yay, the hand looks better than the NES, and the portraits of the AI do look better, and that's pretty much it. Well, okay, there's a little bit more stuff to it. The walking animation, although longer, does have some nice effects in the backgrounds, and those classic Monopoly illustrations that are in the street and just given life really bring some old school charm to this. But my biggest problem is, while you can speed up these animations, you can never skip them, so watching these things go by is a major waste of time. Even building houses takes too long compared to the NES version. Come on! I can build a house faster than this in real life! This takes forever, and it happens every time you build a house or hotel. And when you consider just how long a game Monopoly is, yes, it is a problem. And just going through the menus beforehand. So it takes a solid minute sometimes to build a house, especially if you decide to sit through the animations. I do believe that hammer is skippable, but it still takes too long. And again, the idea of Monopoly should be to make the experience as short as possible. This kind of seems to like to increase the time you spend with it through useless animation. The chance and community cards look really good and have a lot of detail and even some animation to them, and they look way better than their NES counterparts, and I like the old school look. Again, I'll have to keep kind of pounding that in. That's the one thing I really do love about these classic boards and sets that are represented on the NES and Super Nintendo are just the look of these cards, because I really don't like the generic look that the newer Monopoly games bring when it comes to the artwork. As far as the other animations go, well, there is a go to jail animation and being let out of jail animation, and they're okay, but there's no humor in it like the NES version. There is a better sounding voice, though, and it's got a bit of what sounds like an Irish accent. Graphically more impressive, but there's not much of a sense of humor here. As far as menus go, it's a little bit tricky getting around these. Now, I do like the fact that I can see who has what properties before I start a trade, so I know who I'm dealing with. But if you're not careful in the rest of the menus, it is possible just to hand over a piece of property to someone without realizing it, and I have done it many times in this game. I know it's part of my own stupid fault, but just the fact that the menu system is set up like that to where it's possible does make it a minus, in my opinion, on this game. Anyways, there are some other options that you can put, like money, handicaps, and a few other things that you can put in this game, as well as a timer, but for the most part, there isn't any real customization options, so it's very similar to the NES version in that regard. Anyways, I hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, this is the bad version of Monopoly compared to the NES version. It's actually a few steps down. Mainly because the original NES version had a lot more charm and it was a lot quicker in its animation and getting from point to point. The SNES version seems to like to take a long time. It's more detailed in its look and has a lot more animation, but none of that animation leads to a whole lot more charm, unfortunately. But it does lead to a whole lot more weight, which is really, really bad when you're playing a game like Monopoly. Anyways, let's jump ahead a generation or two to Monopoly Streets. And yes, there were other Monopoly games out there after the Super Nintendo version of Monopoly, and I've played them, and they're pretty much on the same level as the Super Nintendo version, if you ask me. However, the game I'm about to play, Monopoly Streets, is one of the best versions of Monopoly you'll ever play, so stay tuned tomorrow so I can tell you all about that one. And if you're interested in my channel, feel free to click that subscribe button. I would love to have you as a member of my community.